to episode 340 of Cinematary. I'm your host, Zach Dennis, and I'm here with
Jessica Carr
and Ash Baker.
And in today's episode, we'll be talking about movies that we saw this week in part 1. And in part 2, we will continue our Tilda Swinton series with 2002's Teknolust. And I promise that there are no artificially intelligent beings. That we're all humans here. So that's a plus. That's what we aim for here.
You want to know how we know that we're humans? Because we love eating sweets like donuts and chocolate cake.
That's how you test it. Real quickly before we start, direct people to the website. Head over to cinematary.com. We got a new review of Earwig and the Witch, the latest Studio Ghibli movie that is now on HBO Max. Michael O'Malley has a review of it, and Michael did not like this movie. So, as if you're a Ghibli stan or somebody, because I know Michael likes Studio Ghibli movies, so I heard it seems to be a flaming pile of shit. So I look forward to reading it at some point. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into movies that we saw this week. And Jessica, I'm going to lead with you.
Yes. So I saw Lovers Rock. It was quite some time ago now, but I still remember it pretty vividly because, like, how could you not? But it's directed by Steve McQueen, and it came out, I guess it was like a series that he did, and it came out on Amazon Prime. Is that right?
It's like a series of movies that he did that came out on Amazon Prime late last year.
Yeah, and then this one is pretty much like 70 minutes, so it's not super long, but it is about like two people who meet at a blues party, and it's like set in the 80s, and the party is like, I want to say it's a lot of like Jamaican immigrants that are there. Like, they're cooking like curried goat and stuff in the kitchen, and like speaking to each other and talking about like different things with like cultural things, and then they play a lot of like reggae music like at this party that they're at, and the build up to like the big party is everybody setting up and getting ready for it. So they're like people cooking in the kitchen, and they're in this like very big house, and they're cooking in the kitchen and also like getting the like music set up and having like the speaker set up, and then hooking up like the vinyl player to everything. And it's like in the 80s, so like their setup is obviously different from what we would see today, but all of it is like kind of getting you in the mood for a party. Like, you're like, okay, like everything is like vibing, everybody is starting to show up, and then when they start playing the music, the movie just becomes like a huge vibe, essentially, where everyone is like jamming out to this music and having a good time and letting themselves go. And it's really clear that like this means a lot to them. Like, this is a time for them to be who they are and to like meet people. But like the main girl in the story like meets a guy, and they get together, and they're drawn to each other immediately, and they hang out for the entire night and kind of like bond with each other. But it's a really interesting movie to watch during a pandemic where you're not allowed to be around other people, because you like miss human contact and miss like going to concerts where you can just like be around other people. And this movie is like almost like you are like submerged in that vibe again, where you feel like you're in this room with all of these people, and everyone is like dancing intensely, and like the music never stops and the party never ends, and you're a part of it. And it was just like only 70 minutes long, but I wanted it to be longer. Like, I wanted to have that feeling last longer. And it's really, really beautiful that someone could make something that made you feel like you were there and that you were a part of it. And I was just like blown away after I watched it. But Yeah, like it's really, really good. I would recommend people check it out on Amazon. It's funny because I compared the like dancing to like a movie like Climax, because in that film like you're also kind of submerged in the dancing, but in a not so good way because of the like how the rest of the movie turns out, and it ends up the dancing is kind of a distraction to me to like get you in the mood, and then all of a sudden you're basically in hell, which is like not what this movie is doing. So it's a vibe, and it makes you feel like you're a part of something, but it's good, like not a bad vibe like Climax is.
Yeah. Well, and it also, it like you said, it like captures this moment where, um, it is. There's not. We've talked about it before on the podcast, but there's not much of a narrative in place. It's pretty much like, yeah, these people are going to this party. There's music and there's dancing, and that's it. Like there's a little bit of the love plot and some other little like odd and end type things that are happening, but the entire thing is like you have like these long sequences where it's just people dancing and all this stuff. And it's just like the music plays, and like Steve McQueen just allows the whole entire song to play through. And there is just something really freeing and intoxicating about like just the elongated dancing sequences where you just kind of like he just focuses on like the sway of people's bodies and everything. It's really like it really does kind of just like lock you in after a while. And even like you mentioned, it's only 70 minutes long. It's not super long, but I feel like it kind of stays for the right amount of time, and then it kind of gets you out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, I know Lovers Rock, it's part of the Small Axe series. Michael and I talked a little bit about a lot of the other ones in that series a couple of weeks ago, so you can check back there. But if you did not take our recommendation then, take our recommendation now. Go check out the Small Axe series and check out Lovers Rock on Amazon. Cool stuff. We have another movie that is another last year 2020 release. Ash, do you want to talk a little bit about what I think was the best superhero movie last year?
It's not a superhero movie.
It is, but that's fine.
No, it's not. No, but it's not. It's a comic book movie. There are no superheroes in Birds of Prey.
All right, whatever.
They're just comic book characters. None of them have powers. Except for that one girl who screams and the glass shatters and people die.
That's right, yeah, she has powers.
Yeah, but
Canary.
that doesn't count.
Black Canary. Right?
Yeah. But it's just like, she's just like magic for that. We love her. She's not, it's not a superhero movie.
Okay, well, I'll talk about the movie.
So, I rewatched Birds of Prey. I saw it in theater. This was the last movie I saw in theaters. RIP theaters. I miss them. I miss going to the theater. But yeah, I saw this movie in theaters when it came out, like this time last year. Like last February or something. And, I was like, I am not a superhero movie person, but I was like, sexy women killing people, I want to watch. And so I went and I watched, and it was really fun. And it's a great movie because, Margot Robbie is good in anything she's in, but in this movie, like, you're just like, wow, she must have had so much fun being in this movie, because she just gets to smash stuff and talk funny. And it's like what Ocean's 8 wanted to be. It's just like a nice girl boss movie that's like, let's kill. Also, it leans really hard into being a gay movie. Like, Ewan McGregor is in it, and he plays the villain, Black Mask, which is very, like, funny and comic booky. And he's so gay in this movie. He's so, like, honestly, he's me if I were, like, insane and killed people. Like, I would be Ewan McGregor in this movie. He's, like, I don't know, he's just so funny and, like, dramatic. And he, like, stands on tables and runs around and has his little boyfriend who wears a striped shirt. And his little psycho boyfriend is, like, I don't know, just, like, kills people. Ew. And,
yeah, it's Chris Messina, who honestly, hotter than Ewan McGregor.
Oh my just God, saying. Yeah, he's so sexy. Who is he?
Chris Messina. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's been in...
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was in that Mindy Kaling show.
Yeah,
I'm not seen that.
Yeah, he's...
Is he like a mumblecore dude?
No, he's kind of one of those guys who always like pops up in the background.
Wait, this is the guy? Chris Messina?
Yeah.
He looks so normal in his, like, picture. He looks so, like, grungy and, like, I love how, like, nasty he looks in this movie. Like, well, honestly,
I'm just gonna say the best Chris Messina role is, I forgot what it's called. It was the HBO show and with Amy Adams, and he like he's constantly sweaty, but like sexy sweaty. Yeah.
Is it called The Sinner?
No, it's.
Is it called?
Oh, I got it. It's Sharp Objects. He's in Sharp Objects, and he looks.
I thought that was a movie.
No, it's a TV show, but he's like he's constantly like sweaty in a sexy way, and I would have sex with Chris Messina. That's mainly what I'm getting at.
Okay, good to know. I will be watching that later. I love how like nasty he is in this movie. He's so like grungy and like greasy and 100%, 1000% my type. It's disgusting. And he like, I'm pretty sure he like barks at someone in this movie. I don't know, but he's great, and he just like he and Ewan McGregor are really cute, and how women kill people.
Well, it's also like it's been a while since I saw it as well. I should probably rewatch it, but I remember it being and this is just going to sound condescending, but like actually fun, which is something that has become like not synonymous with a comic book movie, because they're so predicated on, I have to set up X, Y, and Z for the next 50 movies, and so it's less of like a narrative and more of just an exposition setups for 2.5 hours. And like this one kind of plays with like the lore of like, Suicide Squad and stuff, but mainly it's just like, it's just like she broke up with the Joker and now she's just going on this scorched earth path and has all these new friends. And it's just it's really fun. It's very colorful. It's very lively. I felt like it just kind of had like this energy that a lot of the comic book movies have kind of lost, because they're so like, relegated to preparing for the next one,
Yeah, no, it definitely stands alone. I haven't seen Suicide Squad. And so I was coming on into this, like, not having seen that movie at all. And so it gives a little, like, cute animated, like, synopsis of, like, hi, I'm Harley Quinn. This is my life story in 30 seconds. And that's basically all you need to know. It doesn't delve into the plot of Suicide Squad or anything like that. But it's just like, yeah, like I was dating the Joker and now we've broken up and I'm gonna smash stuff about it. And, like, that's all you need to know going into the movie. And the end is sort of like, are we gonna do a sequel? Maybe. But that's not really, like the end is, like, a nice resolution in and of itself. It's not, like, a cliffhanger to, like, lead you to the next thing. It's, like, very self-contained. And, like, they set it up to where they could do another one, but they... like, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't, just because it's like, I don't know, I think it just ends really nicely. And if they did do another, I would be like, okay, cash grab, you know, whatever. But it is super fun, and I think the whole cast of characters is really good. At first, whenever I started watching it, because it's sort of... like, the cast of characters is Harley Quinn, evil, criminal, pixie, dream girl, psycho, and then there's Black Canary is her name, and she, like, works for Ewan McGregor, and then there's a cop lady, I forget her name. And I was like, oh no, not a cop. And then there's this young girl who's awesome, who's like a pickpocket, and plays a really sort of key role in this movie. And Harley kind of takes this kid under her wing, and but in the end, sort of in the beginning, I'm like, no, not this cop. Don't have me rooting for this cop. Not this type of movie. And then in the end, spoiler, but, like, the cop ends up quitting her job. And I'm like, yes, I'm, like, fully on board with this movie. Like, not only is it, like, fun, like, badass girls kicking ass, but also, like, like, the only good cop is the one who quits, you know? Quit your day job. So, yeah, I feel good about, like, rooting for this movie. It's a very good one.
Yeah, you forgot about Huntress, who is played by...
Oh, I forgot about Huntress, who is also
Winstead.
badass.
Yeah, she's my favorite. Like, as soon as she showed up, I was like, this is amazing.
I knew I was missing one. Yeah, she's great.
I remember, like, one thing that I love about the movie, too, is that, like, all of these female characters, like, generally in comic books, they've been portrayed as, like, having big titties and just wearing, like, very revealing costumes because that's the target audience that they were trying to reach with that. But, like, this movie was great because, like, all of the women looked really sexy, but they weren't showing a lot of skin. Like, they didn't feel like they had to make them, like, big boobed, like, wearing, like, shoestring bikinis and stuff, which I really appreciated. Like, it was like all of their costumes were amazing and they looked, like, well thought out and also empowering, but also sexy, which I think is important. Like, I think that you can tell that it was a female director when you watch the film, which is important.
No, I was going to say the only downside of this movie is that initially it was called Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. And then the first week it was in theaters, which again, like, was early pandemic, so I don't know why they were blaming it. But instead of going, hey, we might be in the midst of a global pandemic, they said, nah, it's the name. And so then they called it Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, which is just not a great title. Yeah, the first title is fantastic.
Wait, Birds of
Not
Prey?
good. No, it's bad.
Why did they change it?
They thought that, like, Warner Brothers felt like it was too long, and so that was keeping people from seeing the movie. They're like, yeah, they can't say the whole name, and so they're not going to see the movie because That's how I pick my movies. If I can say it all in one thing, I'm in that seat.
Yeah, whatever. I was just gonna say also, like, the sets and fights and choreography and stuff like that is sick. Costumes as well, like Jessica was saying, the costumes are sick. The writing, sick. The impromptu musical number, which, yes, there is a musical number, sick.
Okay. Well, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn is available on HBO Max. So I don't know. I'd recommend it if you're kind of curious about it. It's a good, like I said, it's one of the better comic book movies, recent ones, at least in my opinion. It's fun. It's a fun one, and plus Chris Messina's in it. He's super sexy. So
yes, he's so hot. He has this bleached hair, and he's got these like bags around his eyes, and he wears this striped shirt. God.
Let me look. So yeah, he's in Julie and Julia. He's Amy Adams' husband in that, or boyfriend,
yeah,
or whatever
I've
the
seen
fuck.
that.
He's been in some of the recent like Ben Affleck movies. He was like in Argo and stuff like that. He was in.
He just looks so normal and everything else. I like how grungy he was in this.
We're gonna go for a deep dive here. So this is one of my like low key like guilty pleasure favorites, is the movie that he was in from 2012 called The Giant Mechanical Man, where it's a rom-com with him and Jenna Fisher from The Office, and like his job is that he's like one of those street performers that like paints himself like chrome and like has like these big stilts. It's wonderful. And Chris Messina's in it, and he's sexy. And Topher Grace is in it, and he has long hair and looks like David Blaine. So,
wow.
Chris Messina, favorite of mine. Anyway, back on track. Speaking of HBO Max, they have a wonderful selection of anime from G-Kids. I mean, they already house a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies, as I mentioned before, with Earwig and the Witch, along with much better movies that are also available. But because this is distributed in the United States by G-Kids, they also have a lot of Masaki Yuasa's films. And I talked about Ride Your Wave a couple weeks ago, and that one's not good. But this one, I was happy to rewatch it. I'd seen it before. I know this is a Cinematary favorite, but Night is Short, Walk On Girl is available on HBO Max, which I feel like is probably the most most available it has been. I know it had like a little theatrical run with G-Kids, but I feel like this is probably the most it's been widely available to people in the United States. And so, real quickly, the story is pretty much in the title. It's you follow this girl as she just kind of has this crazy night around Kyoto, where at like one point she like gets into like drinking contest, and they do like this dance thing where they're all like waddling on the ground, and then she's curing sick people. And then there's like this one part which seems like the best part, where she goes to like a used book market in the middle of a park at night, and I was like, that sounds amazing. So it just has like all these random things that are happening throughout the night, and at the same time this guy is trying to get her attention but keeps failing, because it's an anime, doing all that crap. But this one very much is different than Ride Your Wave, which Ride Your Wave feels like much more like cookie cutter, cut and dry, what you kind of come to expect from like an anime. And this one really has like this very kinetic energy to it. Like it's about 90 minutes, and the first probably like 15-20 minutes or so are just like balls to the wall crazy, where like she's like because you're just trying to kind of orient yourself to like what's going on here, and so you just have all of these kind of characters being punched and thrown at you, and like there's a lot of drinking involved, and they're all like doing this dance, and you're like, what the fuck is going on right now? But there's something, there's also like this clear vision and focus to the insanity, and so like it's not just kind of like going, it reminds me a lot of something, you know, like Sion Sono's movies, where there's just this chaos happening, but there's also like this kind of not like straight path through the chaos, but like there's this is what type of chaos and stuff I want to create. And so, and he's very like focused on this is how I want to like build this. And so I don't know. I think it's really fun. It's kind of an animated film that maybe gets lost just because like I said, it just didn't really get a wide release. It came out in 2017, but it didn't get a wide release outside of like G Kids, which is still kind of hidden for, I think, the more general public. And so I think if you're interested in animation and you kind of want just like a really wild, sweethearted, just visually stunning animated film, check out Night of Short Walk On Girl. It's on HBO Max. I know a lot of Yuasa's films are also on there. So you can watch this and then feel good about yourself. And then you can watch Ride Your Wave, which is not good, and be like, why is she walking around with this inflatable doll? So, Jessica, do you have anything to add on Night of Short? I know you're a big fan.
I don't think so. I think you covered everything. It's just like so fun, and I love that the like girl is like so carefree, but she also can like put away a ton of alcohol and not be affected by it.
A ton of alcohol.
Which is like a very funny like little plot point, because she just like outdrinks all of these dudes who thinks that she's just like this like little helpless girl who like can't hold down a drink, but she just like gulps everything and is just like walking and is fine. And it becomes like very funny. And then the dude who's like pursuing her just like spends the entire time like hoping that she notices him and like trying to like be in her path. And there's like a running theme in the movie about like things, it's like common in Japanese film where it's like the red string of fate thing, where it's like two people who are destined to be together will find each other, and I think it's like fish drop on your head or something is what they use. It's basically the same concept, and there's like a part where like fish literally fall on somebody's head, and they just kind of like play around with all of those like different themes, and it just makes it like so fun.
And I kind of remember this part, but it also has like this really wild Satoshi Kon-esque sequence like at the very end where he is sick and she's like already gone around like the whole town of Kyoto like making everybody better, and like you have like this whole kind of like dream sick, you know, fever dream almost like fantasy thing going on where like she's trying to work her way to him, and I forgot just how big and large and just like wild it is. It does remind me of like you know, scenes from Paprika or something by Satoshi Kon. So yeah, no, it's good. If you missed this one when it came out, I would recommend going to HBO Max and checking it out, because they have a good selection of like G Kids distributed like foreign animation on there outside of just like, you know, Ghibli and that stuff. So it's a good little spot if you're interested in that kind of stuff. But all right, we're gonna take a quick break and then we'll be back talking. Speaking of fever dream technology fueled fever dreams, we're gonna be back with 2002's Teknolust after this.
Hey, Cemetery listeners, Andrew here. At the midpoint of this week's episode, I want to direct you to some of the non-podcasty things we have to offer. First, if you're a fan of what we do, please consider supporting us on Patreon. For $5 a month, you get 3 things: a shout out at the end of every episode, the opportunity to choose a movie we cover on the show, and our Patreon exclusive podcast, Film Theory and Chill, in which we look at a piece of theory once a month, deconstruct it, and then just chill out, talking about whatever else we have going on. All Patreon support goes solely to paying our writers for their reviews that go up on our website every Monday. Also, at the bottom of cinematary.com, you can sign up for our free newsletter. Every Sunday, we send out an email with the latest podcast episode, Patreon content, and written reviews. This is perfect for those who want to keep tabs on what's happening, but might be too busy to see the posts when they go up. Before I go, one more quick thing. The easiest thing you can do to support us is to give Cinematary a rating and review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to the show. This is quick, free, easy, and we will read your review out on the show once we get it. To recap, consider donating to our Patreon, sign up for the free newsletter, and please give us a rating and review. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to the show.
Sucking on my titties like you wanted me, calling me all the time, that blondie. Check out my Chrissy behind, it's fine all of the time, like sex on the beaches. What else is in the teachers of peaches? Huh, what? Sucking on my titties like you wanted me, calling me all the time, that blondie. Check out my Chrissy behind, it's fine all over the time. What else is in the teachers of peaches? Like sex on the beaches. What?
And we are back with part 2 of episode 340 of Cinematary. In this part, we will be continuing our Tilda Swinton series with 2002's Teknolust, which was written, directed, and produced by Lynn Hirschman Leeson. The film stars Tilda Swinton, Jeremy Davies, Karen Black, and James Urbaniak. The dude from the show Review, which if you've never seen the show Review on Comedy Central, check that show out. Anxious to use artificially intelligent robots to improve the world, Rosetta Stone, a biogeneticist, devises a recipe through which she can download her own DNA into a live brew she is growing in her computer. She succeeds in breeding 3 self-replicating automatons, SRAs, that look human but were bred as intelligent machines. All of the characters struggle to find meaning in a world where love is the only thing that makes things real. In an interview with San Francisco Weekly, Leeson gave her reasoning for making the movie, saying, "I made Teknolust and I actually made the film so I could do Agent Ruby, but no one understood that. Nobody had ever done any artificial intelligence projects on the internet. Teknolust was weird even for sci-fi, but I was able to raise the money to do the film, and part of the film was Agent Ruby, which is what I really wanted to do in the first place. It was kind of the chicken and the egg. The real motivation was getting AI Ruby up and running. I used 18 programmers at the time to figure out the way to get her to work. At the time, there were no AI programs that existed." She continued, "I'm really proud of the piece. I look back at it and I think it's really prescient, especially for her to viralize herself and to create something that can be downloaded to other platforms and continue to live in different ways and different manifestations. It used expanded technology from one screen to another screen. She matured in her life, and I'm amazed at the stories that came out of the past 12 years, the conversations that she's had with people." On working with Tilda Swinton, she said, "I started working with her around 1995. She wasn't as well known at the time. I wrote this project conceiving Ada, and I thought she was the only one who could do it. And her agent asked what my budget was, and I told him, and she said she couldn't do it. So he turned it down, but one of her friends in Berlin was told about the project, and then Tilda called me up, and we talked about it, and she decided she did want to do it, but she could only give me 5 days. So we made the first film in 5 days. We have the same sense of humor, and she's so smart. It was a real gift to be able to work with her." On the narrative of Teknolust, Tilda Swinton said, "I don't separate technology from our environment. It's where we live. It's so much a part of our lives. Think about the idea of isolation, of how technology brings people together. All these issues are all dealt with in some simulated way." In 2004, the New York Times said, "There is potential for entertainment here, but Miss Leeson's emphatic direction draws much of the fun from the comic elements. Even Miss Swinton, usually the most restrained and elegant of performers, can be found mugging outrageously as she strains to put over the less than convulsive laugh lines." In 2004, the New York Post said, "Fails as entertainment, being as so ineptly directed and written, it often has the feel of a high school production by kids with more money and ambition than talent." Which I just put in there because I was like, damn, that's rude.
That's really harsh.
Yeah, well, that's the New York Post. I mean, I don't know what you expect. So on that note, let's talk a little bit about Teknolust. What did you all make of it, Ash? What did you make of Teknolust?
I thought it was fucking crazy. I mean, I started watching it and I was like, alright, so Tilda Swinton is like fucking this dude, and then like she's fucking, like, I figured this was gonna be a horny movie, right? And then like we're like not even 5 minutes into the movie and Tilda Swinton, AI Tilda Swinton, we find out, is like making sperm tea, is making tea out of this man's semen and drinking it. And then we learn that the AI live off of the semen, and that is their food. Like, yo, that's crazy. Like,
it's crazy because it was like, oh, they need these chromosomes to survive, and I was like, okay. It's so early on in the film that you are thrown into it and you don't know what's going on, and then you're like, wait, did she just like inject herself with that? And you're just like, okay.
Oh yeah, and I forgot, they're also like injecting themselves with sperm. Like, whoa. That's like next level horny.
Jessica, what about you?
I didn't think it was supposed to be horny. I thought it was just supposed to be like, okay, they have to do this to survive. Like,
Okay, but like, but like, here's the thing, is that real life Tilda Swinton created them to be this way, yeah?
Well, the way that I read it is that she was like, I want to make a person who is half a real person and half an AI, right? And so the half that cannot be charged by a battery or by like electronics or whatever is the half that needs the sperm, because it's like genetic material or whatever to keep it alive. So it's like, I don't know if there is like a bigger meaning in that other than like, okay, like I think that it threads through with the theme of the film, which I think is like, she literally says it, like Ruby, who is one of the clones, says like, sex is easy but intimacy is hard. And like the entire movie is about human connection and how that experience like evolves like from technology, but also how isolating technology can be, because it kind of like inhibits you from like experiencing that human connection. And it isn't until Ruby like meets this one guy who she doesn't just like fuck and then give him the like virus or whatever that she's giving to all these other guys. Like, she has an actual like intimate experience with him, and it like changes her relationship with like people. And so I think that is like the whole purpose of it. So horny, maybe, but definitely about like intimacy, like with other human beings and how those connections are formed. And like I did not know that it was a female director, like, until like Zach read it literally just then. But that makes a lot of sense to me, because I think that women like really care about like intimacy and getting to know someone and connecting with other people. Like, I'm not saying that guys don't care about that, but I don't think a male director would like hone in on that message. The thing that like got me, like, I loved the movie because of what I thought it was trying to do, but the thing that just killed me the entire time was the score. It's like, her budget was obviously low, and now that I hear that, like, it makes a lot of sense to me, because like the graphics are awful. Like, the opening sequence, like title sequence, is like, it's like someone took like Microsoft like screensavers and just like turned it into, it just has the words like DNA and chromosome just like floating around, and the computer, she like talks to the clones like in her, like through her microwave, and like the computers are all, they just look awful. Like, every computer that shows something looks like someone drew it or something. Like, just like the graphics are so bad and so old looking that it's funny. Like, it becomes the atmosphere of the movie that is like kind of corny and like kind of corny looking, and like the score is like boo 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 beep boo beep, like it's literally like this is technology. Like, that's what the score sounds like, and it is like you have to wade through all of that shit to just like get to the main point of the movie, which is fine. It made it not like, it was memorable to me because of all that weird stuff that was like just in it. And so the clones there are 3 of them. It's like Marine, Ruby, and Olive, I think is the other one. And their color schemes are red, and it's blue and green. And like the clones live in this like basement layer, and their entire bedroom is that color. Like, they are color coordinated like to a T with everything. And it's like red silk, blue silk, green silk, and they wear like, okay, so I had a problem with them just like wearing kimonos, like silk kimonos, because I was like, why do people keep making Tilda Swinton dress in Asian, like, clothes? Like, why does that keep happening to her? Like, first Doctor Strange. Well, I guess this movie was first, and then Doctor Strange. So I don't get that. I was like, okay, whatever. But, like, they're all very, like, color coordinated. It reminded me of the Powerpuff Girls a lot because of how just, like, color coordinated they were with everything. But
That's
it was
true.
Yeah, like, I could not stop thinking about the Powerpuff Girls, which it's fine. But like, all of those things visually like make the movie very memorable in my mind. There's even a part where they tell Rosetta Stone, who is like Tilda Swinton, just wearing glasses and a bad wig. Like, that is what Rosetta Stone looks like. They're like, she's a nerd. This is how you can tell, because she's wearing big glasses and she has curly hair. So there you go. And you're like, okay, that's fine. But it's like obvious that Rosetta Stone is not being taken seriously as a scientist, and like all of the dudes that she works for, they're constantly like demanding things from her, like, well, are you gonna have that AI that you said you were working on? Well, can't you do it? And she's like, no, it's hypothetical, because she's like trying to hide that she actually came up with this brilliant discovery because she's worried that they're going to exploit it, which they totally would have. Like, that is what they were trying to do. And she ends up getting like locked up by those scientists because they like connect her with the virus that Ruby is like spreading to all of these men that she is like collecting sperm from. So
that's just that happens sometimes. You have to lock up the lady who has all the sperm in her house. I get it.
Yeah. So I don't know where I was going with what I was talking about.
No, you're fine. No, it was good. I want to go back to one point about the technology of this, because that was something I totally loved, because I put it as like a quick letterboxd review, but this movie reminded me of like a PlayStation 2 game. Like, it just had like this plasticity to it that like it's abundantly clear that this is not even like what technology necessarily people were using like at that period of time. There's just like this kind of sci-fi futuristic, like this is like the elevated version of technology, at least in like our minds, compared to like basic computers or whatever. And I love that like it was like tapping into that whole vein. It reminded me of like there would be these like PlayStation 2 games, and this is a PlayStation thing also, but there would be these games where like there's like they kind of wanted to have like this large adventure sci-fi element to it. I think of like the first Uncharted game, or like Spider-Man 2, or some of the Metal Gear Solid games, and it would have like the character was fully realized and had like all the to the extent of like the animation, the programming animation at that period of time would look good, but then it would like provide these worlds where one, you couldn't interact with anything. It was just like there was like a flat wall with a computer, and it's like interact with the computer, and it's like you're just slapping like a wall. And then there were always these spaces where it looked like it was like vast and far away, but it actually was just nothing, because like they couldn't fill the digital space. And like to me, that was what was so interesting about this, was it was like inhabiting like this artificial digital space in a way, because there wasn't, I mean, it's a budgetary thing, like you mentioned, Jessica, but it also was like, there weren't many other places you could go other than the room that the three Tilda Swinton AIs are in, the house for Rosetta Stone, and maybe like one or two other locations for other characters. It was just like it for being a movie that was like straddling the line between like the digital space and the real space. Like there was really no reality. It was just, it felt very much like we were in a simulation the entire time, no matter where we are. And that was interesting. That was cool to me.
Yeah, I agree. Like it feels otherworldly, like entirely. And she was even driving like a tiny green car, which didn't look like any vehicle that you would see ever. So,
and it was like tall for whatever reason. The other thing, and you mentioned like why they put Tilda Swinton in like Asian attire. I think this one, we talked about it a little bit with Orlando last week, but I think this one is very like peak late career Tilda Swinton, like at least the first instance of like where you really get like that, her just kind of playing multiple roles, or being kind of like having to kind of shed any relatability and like really fully embracing like the androgynous spirit that we've kind of seen through these movies. Because I think even more than Orlando, which kind of has, even though that movie has her shifting from a male character to a female character midway through the movie, this one, like every one of the AIs kind of has their own look and personality that she's having to do. And then you mentioned you have Rosetta Stone, which is pretty underwritten, but also like it's her own personality, and they're always, they're all having to kind of function at this level all at the same time. And it's like, I don't know what other actor or actress you could get to like do that other than Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, and she filmed it in 5 days, which is like insane. She played 4 people in 5 days. Like, what's up? That's crazy.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, it's I don't know, and I don't know what y'all's feelings are about this, but to me, again, like, I don't know who else could do this. You know, it seems like with other actors, whether it's male or female, like, it's, you kind of like, they have that one character and they sit there and like really hone in on that. You know, like, this is, I couldn't see Leonardo DiCaprio being able to play like 5 characters in one movie or 4 characters in one movie and being able to do that. I mean, to y'all, what about Tilda Swinton like allows that kind of fluidity to be able to do multiple roles, but also kind of, go into these different personalities that are all kind of different.
She's got that futuristic vibe. You know? She's got that, like, stark look.
Yeah, like, she honestly kind of is a blank slate, like, in a good way, because she is able to just be what you want her to be, like, in a sense, which is good for these types of movies because she is playing just like a nerd. Like, she's just playing a scientist, like, blanketly, like, oh, this is just a scientist, this is a nerd. And then she's playing Ruby, who is like dominant, and like her color is red for a reason. Like, she is the lead clone, she's like the dominant one, and she's having to seduce men, and she watches these like old-timey movies and recites the lines to them to like seduce them. So she is like just playing that person. And then Olive is like she's the blonde one, so she's like kind of ditzy and like a little bit airheaded. And then the other one, Maureen, is like the stern one who is like, it's just like the Powerpuff Girls. Like, it is literally like the Powerpuff Girls. I cannot stop thinking about it. She's like, Marina's like, is like Buttercup for real. She's just like the stern one. But yeah, so she's, and it's not to say that these characters are not in depth, but she is playing like, is it, I guess, like an archetype? Like, she's playing just like it's like a blanket character that is like, I am this one thing and my motives are driven by that, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And I think that, to your point, she's able to inhabit that in a way that, like, each one does feel unique. Like, she kind of has like that range where she's not playing, like, she's playing a variation on each one, but it's like, but at the same time, each one, as you described, like, has their own personality, and I feel like it takes a lot of creativity and thought process to be like, how do I differentiate all 4 of these characters, which are all carrying the movie for the majority of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was trying to think, like, could anyone else do it? And I just cannot think of a single, like, person who could. And, like, it is very lucky for this director that she found her and that she was like, yes, I'll do it in like 5 days. Like, that is, it's like kind of a miracle that the movie was made in the first.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then the one thing I also wanted to kind of touch on, just because I feel like this is even more prescient with where we're at now, is the director talked a little bit about how this really taps into like that loneliness of the internet and like the interactions on the internet. And it's kind of fun to watch this version of the internet where, like, today there's very easy norm of like Zoom calls or FaceTimes or things of that nature where you're interacting with people and engaging. You have, it's not sci-fi to be like in a chat room or something. Like, Reddit is pretty widely available. You have all of these different social media platforms. Like, the internet in 2021 is just worlds different than it was in 2002. And I don't think she was really trying to capture the internet world of 2002 in that movie, but I think, and so that's what makes it interesting to me, is that she really does capture like the that kind of separation and that that kind of emptiness of like you're engaging through the screen and you're technically kind of, you know, talking with people, but you still don't really have like there's just like a lack of true connection that you would have if you were like face to face with the person than just when the people are kind of engaging with the Ruby character via her website. Were you all thinking of anything around that while watching this?
Wait, you're just talking about, like, are you talking about the portal that Ruby was doing? Like, specifically?
Yeah, she has, like, the portal, but it kind of works as, like, this I think she even describes it, like, as her website, her site that she uses to, where she engages with the guys who she goes to get the sperm from.
Yeah, but I guess it's, like, it's supposed to be... like I don't know, she was like talking about dreams at one point, and I don't know if it's supposed to be like a simulation of like just listening to someone talk to you, I guess, and like she was like whenever we were watching it, Cam was like laughing whenever she was like, click on my icons, like she was like, yeah, click on my icons, like, over and over again, which was just, like, really weird for somebody to say. But I think it does kind of, like, tap into and it doesn't necessarily have to be, like, men who were, like, checking out her portal or whatever, but it was, like, I think that it was supposed to be that was her like, way she was making money, because she was, like, bringing in money into the household by having this, like, portal thing that she did, and it was just her, like, interacting with people and them, I guess, paying to, like, listen to her talk to them, which is not far from things that people do now, like things like OnlyFans, where you are, like, paying money to have this experience with someone that isn't really, like, they're not talking to you directly necessarily, they're kind of just, like, you know, putting it out there generally, but people feel a connection to that. And I think having the portal in the movie was good because it kind of showed, like, for some people, they can feel that kind of, like, connection with an artificial intelligence because it is, like, I don't know, like, the way that technology can make you feel close to someone even though you're not physically in the same space as them. But in comparison, there is, like, the actual human intimacy that is experienced at the end by both Ruby and Rosetta Stone, because Rosetta, like, gets some, like, she sleeps with the other scientist dude and is genuinely happy, like, with it. And, like, that's what I really liked about the movie, is that it was kind of like saying, you know, not necessarily that technology was bad. Like, I think it was kind of just showing both sides of it. I don't think that it was saying that it was... Because Ruby is half technology. Like, she is literally a computer. So I don't think that it was saying necessarily that either one is better than the other, but it was just showing, like, different forms of human intimacy. And I wanted to point out one scene specifically because I think it's really funny, but there were parts of this movie that reminded me a lot of Under the Skin, because, like, Scarlett Johansson's character is, like, not an Earth being, like, I guess she's an alien or a demon or whatever she is in that movie, and, like, throughout the movie she is, like, using males specifically and, like, seducing them and then collecting their stuff so that she can, like, survive. And Ruby is, like, kind of doing that as well. She doesn't kill them, but she does infect them with something, technically. And I think the key difference between these two movies, like, I'm sure they're exploring different things, but, like, in under the skin, like there's a scene where Scarlett Johansson is eating this piece of chocolate cake and she eats it and just spits it out. She's like, and it's the most delicious, like moist, like decadent looking chocolate cake, and she just like spews it out like it is like the most disgusting thing that she's ever eaten. And it's supposed to be a scene of you being like, okay, this is not a human, and she doesn't enjoy being a human. She doesn't want to enjoy things that humans enjoy. She's just kind of there. And and then it's funny because like in Teknolust there is a scene where Ruby is like, she meets this guy at a coffee shop. She doesn't know what money is, and she wants to eat this, I guess she calls it succulent protein, but it's like a donut, and she wants to eat it, and it's her color, it's like red or whatever, and she picks it out and she can't pay for it because she doesn't know what money is, and he pays for it for her, and they sit down at this table and she takes a bite of it and is like, okay, this is gross. Like, this isn't sperm tea or whatever. So it's not what I'm used to. And this is like kind of nasty and I don't eat it. She takes like a bite of it and puts it down. And then he kind of like gestures at her. Like he just like gestures the donut towards her and they're like smiling and stuff. And she's like, okay, I think I'll give this like a second chance. And she like eats it again and she's like, I don't know. And then eats it again and she's like, actually, I'm starting to kind of enjoy this. And that was like kind of the moment in the movie where I was like, okay, I see what you're doing and I think that it's like kind of great. Like basically like saying, you know, being a human like isn't the best thing ever, but if you meet someone that you connect with, you can like give it a chance. Like it's about maybe like not enjoying the human experience all the way all the time, but there are still parts of it that are like nice. So yeah,
the donut scene is truly devastating. Like, first of all, those donuts look disgusting. Like, the icing just looks absolutely radioactive. Yeah. And she keeps calling them, succulent protein, which is so, like, disgusting to me somehow. This donut is succulent protein. And, she tries to pay in condoms, which is just, like, and the way that the donut person is like talking to her is so like embarrassing, and the way that like Jeremy it's
his character, the guy
is like here, just like he just like puts the money on the counter. It's just like, oh no. And then she eats it and you're like, oh my god. It's just like a really uncomfortable scene. I don't know. But
yeah, can we talk a second about that dude? Because that dude's weird. I'm gonna be honest. It's not like he's just misunderstood. Like, I was like, this dude seems like he would like write a manifesto. Let me just leave it at that.
Yeah, he looked like the dude from guy. Smosh. Like one of the Smosh guys. I don't know. He just looked like a dude. I guess it's the early 2000s look is what I'm really seeing.
Yeah, but then he's also just like the funniest scene in this movie is when his like mom comes into his room and she's just like, "You're an executive," and he's like, "Mom, I make copies." And then I was like, what? Like, you know, maybe he's like an intern or like an assistant, like at an office shop. No, he's like in this giant room and it's just like pulsating with some machine. And then this lady comes in, she's like, "You suck at making copies." And he's like, "I know." And he's like, "I know." And then like has to make copies again.
He's like, I'm just no.
What the, like, this is the most this is the strangest part of this world. Not like the AIs coming and stealing guys' sperm to, eat, but this guy working in a copier, like his business is just having a copy machine. Like, that's insane. I thought that was great.
He's in a great episode of Hannibal.
You know what? I'm glad he got more work after this movie. That's nice.
He's great. He's in a really epic
No,
episode of
Mom, I'm not an
Hannibal.
executive. I make copies.
Oh my gosh. Can we talk about the doctor who just whispered?
Oh my god.
He
Did
said-
that man. Oh my
They
god.
kept showing up with like a inflamed forehead and like a barcode, and his ass was like, he was just like, can you just like stop eating wheat and like adjust your diet and stuff, or like it'll be okay, you'll be fine, just don't eat wheat. And I was like, yo, what is this guy talking
I wanted somebody
about?
to be like, what?
He only whispered, and okay, but he stuck to
He
the
did.
bit. He whispered the entire movie.
It was incredibly entertaining because it was just like, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me, Doc. Well, what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna need to change your diet.
When was the last time you had sexual intercourse?
Did you have sexual intercourse?
Yes,
no,
that's
this
perfect.
movie is like consistently insane, and like not insane like in a what is going on, but more just like what the hell is happening right now. Like, it's just silly. It's a bunch of silly, insane stuff. I mean, for God's sakes, her character's name Rosetta Stone.
I know. That was bad. That was bad. There is a level of corny that is, like, not good, but the only thing that is redeemable to me is that I was, like, genuinely entertained and it had, like, a decent message. Like, I thought that the writing was not bad, and so I was like, okay, I can see past the rest of this stuff.
But also, like, the fact that, I don't know, I just think that there's something to the fact that, like, girl was horny. Like, because she was a virgin. And she had, like, these parts of herself that were going out and fucking all these dudes.
That's right.
And then in the end, she
Yeah,
gets
yeah,
her
Falls
man.
in love with the copier guy.
I accept
God,
I accept this reading of the
damn,
film.
did she go at
Yes, I accept this reading of the movie.
it? They really went. Yeah, they really went at it too, right in front of the microwave.
That's another thing, is why was she talking to her microwave?
I know.
Like, you could have easily put like a screen there. It's like, oh, this is the screen to the AI world.
Or like, why not a computer?
Yeah. No, it was like, hey, can you set this? I need to warm up this burrito in 30 seconds. And also, hey, what's going on, Ruby?
But also, they had like long nails that they used to plug into stuff.
That was pretty cool, though. Like, the fact that they had like the long nail that worked as like the key for her apartment. I like that. That would be that's so handy. Like, instead of having to carry around keys, you just have like your one long fingernail. And you just go.
Okay, I hate that.
Yeah, that's not good.
I hate having.
That's not good.
Okay, but I for real hate having fingernails. I hope in the future no one has fingernails.
No. No fingernails at all?
Why have we evolved to have these things? I want to evolve away from
Because then
them.
you just have gummy ends of your fingers. Like, ugh. That's not good.
Ash is like walking around with these like worm fingers. Like, ooh.
They're not worm. Like, I have bones. I still have bones in there.
Oh, no. Oh, I can't unsee that. I can't unsee a hand without nails now. It's freaking me out. Oh. Oh.
You could still put vinyls on there.
What? What?
Why would you do that? That sounds awful.
No. Oh, no.
I'm thinking of it more as like a logistical thing. Like if I could have one big nail that I could use to open up my apartment, like Tilda Swinton does in this movie, that would be nice. Then I wouldn't have to carry around keys. I could just go boop, fingernail, the end. I'm inside.
But then you would have to have all of your fingernails fitted for different things.
No.
If you changed your locks, you would have to get your fingernails filed to the new keyhole.
Yeah, but how is that any different than what you're doing now? I mean, you just get you go to the manicures would turn into a much more like utilitarian business, because it's like, oh, I got a new lockbox, and so I gotta fix my pinky nail.
That's enough. That's enough of this conversation.
Well, you can't let anyone borrow your key in this alternate reality, can you?
I feel like Ash unlocked the key to this movie, which is that it is horny because literally lust is in the name. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was talking about before.
Any final thoughts on Teknolust before we wrap up?
It's worth watching. I think that it is very good. It's very good and weird.
I don't know if this means anything, but my cat loved it. She was glued to the screen.
Well, there you go. Annie approved. We should mark we should have a section on Cinematary for Annie approved movies.
Aww.
That's a Patreon exclusive. If you want to know what movie Annie likes, join us on Patreon. That's my...
And get a little pic of Annie.
Just a picture of Annie with a movie in her paws. Yeah,
that's sweet.
All right, that's what we're gonna do. We're pivoting into that. All right, well, I'll wrap up this episode of Cinematary. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cinematary, on Twitter and Instagram at handles @Cinematary, and on Letterboxd at letterboxd.com/Cinematary, where we post all the movies that we talked about in this episode. Also catch us on Patreon, patreon.com/Cinematary. Thank you so much to our patrons, Cam, Chad Newsom, Christina Daughtry, Corey Willingham, Harry Eskin, Maggie, Ron Hayes, the kittiest of kittens, Titus Arthur, Tyler Chandler, and Whitney Rio Ross. Thank you so much for your patronage. Next week, we will be continuing our Tilda Swinton series with 2009's I Am Love. So we're moving from lust to love. We're really we're moving along the path. So until then, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.